Welcome back to Talk Solent, the chat show where we share our local views of news catching our eye. Joining me from Fareham, it's Chris Ryder. From Bursledon, it's Hayley Hamlett. From Eastleigh, it's Dan Hill. Putting you on the spot here, I'm going to come straight to you, Hayley, and say, now you work for One Community.
I do.
What exactly is One Community?
One Community is a charity that originated in Eastleigh and has been there for over 30 years. They do various services in Eastleigh, but my role is very much the One Community aspect in Fareham. So Fareham Borough Council fund us to link with charities, services, groups in the community that require volunteers. So I go out, I talk to them about what they need, all the different kind of volunteering roles, and then I go out in the community and talk to people who would like to volunteer or maybe haven't even thought about volunteering, and what kind of thing they could do that they would enjoy, that would fit into their lifestyle. In some cases it's people that want to volunteer for their CV or to try a different skill or learn new skills. So I find them the right kind of volunteering near where they live. So it's a bit like a dating agency for volunteering, really.
Yeah. Wow, that sounds
Can I just ask you something, actually?
Yes.
There is a very large volunteering centre in the middle of Fareham, isn't there?
Yeah.
How do you differ from that?
Well, Fareham Borough Council fund me to do the volunteer engagement and the community development of the Fareham area, and they are no longer funded for that. But they are funded by Hampshire County Council for things like disability and etc. and different kind of services. One Community are also launching in Fareham a visitor scheme, which is for people who are isolated and lonely. We would supply a volunteer to go in and really do like a befriending service, sit with them for up to a couple of hours a week over the course of some weeks, and hopefully signpost them then into things and services that exist in their local community that they hadn't known about, or use them as they can be observant on what other requirements that person would need. So there's quite a lot of different things that we're doing, but primarily it's about volunteering and finding the right volunteering and the right volunteers for what.
But this new thing that you're talking about, how can people get involved with that? What would they need to do?
The visitor scheme, they can become either a visitor for us, or they can ask their GP and community development workers for get in contact with us if they need a visitor. The best thing to do is to go on our website,
which is One Community.
www.community.org.uk, and link up with us there, and then I can come out, meet with them, talk to them about volunteering.
Wow.
Yeah.
But of course, you of course were a volunteer when you went into the prison then to do that work.
I was, yes, I was
Did
a volunteer.
you? Oh, interesting. Do you do anything with volunteers for prisons or anything like that?
Not at the moment, but if anybody's out there that wants to do that, I'll speak to anyone that wants to give time and anyone that needs volunteers for any particular service. So I'm literally going out at the moment and meeting people.
Is it difficult getting volunteers these days? Because everybody's relying on volunteers now. They must be running out.
Yeah, but you can live longer if you're a volunteer. volunteer, you can live longer.
Live forever.
Yeah.
Well, volunteering has changed. I mean, over the course of, if you look right back into the times of war, people volunteered without even thinking about it. If somebody needed something, they would do it. As time's going on now, particularly for the younger generation, their community is phone-based. They look at their phone and that's where their community is. So therefore, who lives next door to them or anything is irrelevant, which is very sad. So it's about refocusing on the community as a place and as a whole, and trying to say to people, actually, there is not always anything in it for you except satisfaction. And
but children are brought up to help others, so you think that satisfies that basic instinct.
At the moment, I think it's. I mean, you'll probably know more because you deal with the younger generation, but they do. Volunteering now, it's about building your CV. And things like that. But if it's not that you need, then it's what isn't it for me?
That's terrible. That's terrible. So if you have volunteers that help with the theatre work?
Yeah, we do, of all sorts of ages. I mean, my experience of young people is that they are all searching for a community, as it is, like whether that community is online or in kind of flesh and bones. the young people that I encounter are hungry for real life encounters with people and are hungry to help. They are. I think there's often quite a bad stigmatism around young people and their attitudes towards their communities because of the impression that they're locked onto their devices gives them. But in my experience, young people are keen to support people where they can. And yes, in a kind of what can I get out of this kind of way, but I think that's true of every volunteer. Kind of, almost
in a way,
the satisfaction of helping others is what you're getting from it. There's probably no such thing as a totally kind of like, giving.
Do you know, I like to think I am.
Halo.
Yeah. It's got a bit rusty and it slipped a bit, I have to say. But you were doing one community event at Fareham Hall in Fareham last weekend. So how did it go? And there were loads of stands there. Tell me the sort of...
So we had this idea that community showcase where we literally do what I've just been talking about, which is to put organisations in the community. So you've got Guide Dogs for the Blind, dementia, diabetes, Solent diabetes were there, next to the Stubbington Market, Country Market, Fareham Country Market, next to Stitch and Knit Club, all of the Rotary clubs, and we all had them under one roof really. So it was a celebration of community, and it was a chance for charities to talk to each other about how do you get volunteers, what do you do in the way of fundraising. And it was also a chance for people who wanted to volunteer but had absolutely no idea, which is very common, to come along and link with all of these different local charities. I mean, some of them were national charities that cover the local area, and some were local charities like the Solent Diabetes. And we had the military wives there, we had various choirs as well, because actually that's all about community, it's still all celebration. And we were very lucky, it was a fantastic event, and we're doing the same thing next year.
Wonderful news.
1st of July.
Yeah, now you mentioned that military wives, and it was actually Portsmouth military wives that were there.
Yeah.
And I was there filming, so if you want to check our YouTube channel, hopefully there'll be a piece there about Portsmouth military wives if you missed it earlier in the week. But on Thursday, one of the vessels that's been away, HMS Defender, been away for 6 months, returned to Portsmouth, and it's a big thing, I think, for the military families of people who've gone away, because it's much easier now because, of course, there is internet, which there never used to be years ago. And Skype, which they just didn't have, but they can still get that contact on a vessel, but they're still desperately missing their families when they come home. You have friends or family?
Yeah, well, like I'm one of the only generations of my family that wasn't in the military, so kind of uncles,
why not?
And everything were all kind of
why not?
And all based around Portsmouth and the such. So
come on, why not? Why are you not?
Why not? It just never happened for me. I had a different dream and I ploughed that field, I suppose. You know, my family have always been very supportive of whatever any of us have wanted to do. There was never any expectation that we would.
So you could just choose your own path, which is great.
But yeah, I remember whole swathes of time where you know I wouldn't see my uncle or my granddad for months and months at a time, and I mean I suppose, and a lot of people in this community, that's kind of hard, but it's the routine, isn't it?
Yes.
And I think that brings a community together because so many people are going through the same thing at the same time.
That's what you expect when you join up, isn't it?
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to fight as well.
Yeah, I think it's not say easy because I haven't done it, but I would say the people that have chosen the path, it is easier for them because they put themselves on that path. But for for example, the wives that they meet or the husbands they meet, if it's the women in the military, if they're not from a military background, it can be a sudden shock to find themselves thinking, oh yeah, I'm sure I'll be able to cope. Of course it's going to be fine. And it may not be fine at all at the end of it, as proven by some of the, either unfortunate accidents or the military action.
Well, many years ago when the Falklands conflict started, just before it did, I was running a series of radio phones at Portsmouth radio station, and I did several phone-ins with the relatives of those who were going away, and quite a number of them said, I don't want my son or my daughter to go and fight. That's not what they joined up for.
But that's what's on the tin.
What did they join up for? Well, it's a good salary and you get to see the world.
I mean, well,
but there is another little bit.
Yes.
The kind of forces that you're
the small print.
Armed forces.
The small print.
So that means really,
Yes.
if
But
necessary, you have to
yeah,
fight.
I think I'm proud to say my niece is doing very well. She's got a couple of options open to her, and one of them is the armed forces. And I did say to my brother, though, I'm really proud of her, but, you know, great career if she lives. Because what else can you say? I mean, she comes out, hopefully, thankfully, all in one piece, then fantastic. And so proud that she's doing that for her country. But, you know, those families that let their...
join now. It's not going to be a long time before there's another armed conflict.
You hope. But I do think that the families that do let their sons and daughters, their wives and husbands go, really, really need supporting. This is an incredible thing that they do, and they deserve that respect amongst the community for what they may.
Yeah, when they were away in the Falklands, if you were a Falklands wife, you got all sorts of things free. You know, taxi drivers would say, you know, where do you want to go, love? You know, where's your husband? Oh, he's serving in the Falklands. Oh, turn the meter off. You saw that all the time. Handymen would come around and fix the taps and that sort of thing. You know, just to help keep families together and keep them going.
Yeah,
it's quite noticeable.
Huge. Yes, and you've got some friends that are forces as well. Have you someone who's just come back from somewhere?
My best friend and her husband were in Oman for 4 years, and he's in the Navy. And she heard when she was just leaving Oman that she was going to Canada, which is quite the opposite weather. So she went from very, very hot to very, very cold, and they took their cat, which was, I don't know what she thought, but no, but she's had great support, and you know, and she married into the forces and said, actually, it's what you expect, you know, that to happen. And my brother actually was in the forces, went to Kosovo, and we were all very worried, and he said, but it's what I've been trained for.
Yes,
you know.
I think those people that focus on what they were there for, I'm glad to do their job as well as they can. And I think it's just hard perhaps when they come out, because they've had that incredible support, and that's where they need that further support to get back into a different life that they're not used to still be respected for the people that they and the knowledge they have brought with them.
Absolutely.
It's a case of supporting them when they go out there, and above all, supporting them when they come back, in whatever state they come back.
Yeah, definitely. So if you want to email us, of course you can do, and you can email talk@Solent, or you can send us a tweet using our hashtag #TalkSolent if you have any news that we should be talking about.